Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein. I will be your presenter for the next 20 minutes. Today we are going to be talking about your donation statements, so getting those mid-year donation statements out. It's pretty much the same process you would go through at the end of the year, but I want to chat a little bit about how the date range you use can change some numbers on your report. So I want to clarify a couple of things about date ranges as well. All right, let's get started. So donation statements. A lot of users I talk to, they like to print out a donation statement halfway through the year. Specifically, pledging churches do this a lot because they like to kind of give people a reminder, maybe a nudge or a thank you, depending on the situation of where they are 6 months into their yearly pledge. So this is going to be a great tool for you to be able to print those donations statements out, show people what their pledge amount is, where they are within their pledge. You can also email them too. So there's a webinar out on our website for how to email donation statements. So that is a really nice free option, if you will. You don't have to send out a bunch of mailings. All right, so let's get started here. At the bottom of page 2, it talks about having this receive statement box checked. So I'm going to show you where that is here in Manage Givers. So right here in Manage Givers, you have this checkbox. It's on the Name tab off to the right, and it says Receives Statement. This has to be checked for anyone to get a donation statement. Okay, so if you go to run statements and you're like, I'm missing somebody, I know they have giving, they meet all the criteria, why is it not making a statement for them? It's probably because this receive statement box isn't checked. So always check. Make sure that's checked. When you create a new person, it's automatically going to be checked to have them receive a statement. But as you can make changes or other people work in the software, it can become unchecked. So just verify that if you're ever missing somebody. Now, there's 2 places you have to check this. So if someone is an individual giver, like Miss Nina here, she gives by herself, meaning she's not checked gives with family, you can check her receive statement box right here on the individual givers tab. Okay. Now, if we go down to Bill and Donna, we can easily tell they're checked gives with family because this box is blue, this light blue. If I click on them, or Bill, it's grayed out. I can't check the receive statement box. That's because he gives with a family. All right, so I have to go find Bill and Donna Bell here on the Families and Groups tab, and then once I select their family name, whichever it is, over here on the right, I can check receive statement. Okay, so if they're checked gives with family, they give as a family, receive statement has to be checked on the Families Groups tab. If they're an individual giver, you highlight the individual and you can check them here on the individual givers tab. Okay, so just want to clarify that because it is pretty important. All right, let's close out of here and let's get into donation statement. You can get into donation statement one of 2 ways. I always use the quick click link in the box here, but you can also get to it up at the top under reports and export and then donation statement. Now, when you first open this screen, you're already going to have some criteria in here, okay? So if I were to open this screen and just hit next and not change a single thing here on step 1, it is going to include members, visitors, and inactive people, okay? But with that being said, it's only going to pull people that have giving within this date range. Okay, so you're not going to get every inactive person that's ever been in your software. You're only going to get inactive people that have giving within this default date range. Okay, that is always your default criteria for donation statements. People who gave for the year. You could change that, but a lot of times that works for people. They just want everyone with giving for the year, hit next. That's fine, but you can definitely come in here and you can change things. So, for example, when you run your 6-month donation statement, sometimes people want to come in and they just want to do it through, how many days are in June? 30, 31, 30. Okay. You can run it just for the 6 months if you want. Okay. It's up to you. But it's really, oh gosh, I did the wrong day here. Hold on. Give me a second. There we go. No, that is right. Okay. Second guessing myself. Sorry. So you can run it for the whole year if you want to. Okay. But it's really up to you what date range you follow. Okay. This is going to be really important. So if you want to do just 6 months, that is going to then change how your pledge is calculated on your donation statement if you are a pledging church. Okay. So for an example, if you have someone, I'm going to go into pledges real quick. If you have pledges entered for someone who is an annual pledger, okay, let me pull up this campaign. If you have anyone who is an annual pledger, let's go down to, let's change somebody. Sorry, I thought that I had an annual pledger in here. Actually, let's go right here. Let's go to the Bernard family for an example. Right now, they have a monthly pledge of $300 a month, okay? If you leave that to $300 a month, it is always going to calculate out how much their pledge is for, regardless of what date range you use when you run statements, because they're a monthly pledger. So if you run your statements for only 6 months, it's going to calculate their monthly pledge amount. It's going to calculate their total pledge amount on their donation statement for 6 months. Okay. If you are an annual pledger and you only run your donation statement for 6 months, it is only going, or it's not going to calculate the pledge amount. It's going to put a 0. Okay, because the annual pledgers need the whole year to be able to calculate the pledge amount. So I want you to keep that in mind. If you truly want to run your statement for just 6 months, you can, but keep in mind all those annual pledgers are going to be at 0. Okay? And if you don't like that, you can change them from an annual pledge to a flat pledge. By switching them to a flat pledge, that will then always put the full amount of the pledge regardless of what date range you use. Okay? I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to make it clear without, I don't know, making it too complicated, but the date range is really important when you run a donation statement, okay? All right, so let's go back in here. So let's say we want to run it for, let's look at it for the whole year first. So I'm going to leave members, visitors, people who gave. I'm going to hit next. Now you can go in and you can do some customizing for accounts if you wish, okay? You can say I only want things or people who gave to a particular giving account, or particular accounts. You can just pop them over to the right if you wish, but that's up to you. If you don't change anything here, that is then going to leave all of your accounts included, okay? Then you have the Query Builder tab. If you want to come in here and add some extra criteria, this is kind of what the book does a little bit. You can do that if you want. You can add, like, I only want people who gave in the time frame, but I also only want people who have a status code of active. So you can come into this Edit People Selection criteria box, and you can add more criteria if you wish, okay? You don't have to. You can also include just people with giver numbers or people who have giver numbers in a particular range if you want to. You can uncheck visitors, or you can remove inactive. So you can really get in here and customize that if you wish. Now I want to go through the first option of running it for the whole year so you can see what that looks like first. So I'm going to leave it for the whole year, but I'm going to be running this, say, at the end of the second quarter. So I'll hit next. And that's going to bring me to my step 2 screen. And it's going to show me everybody that is given, because that's the criteria I left it as, within the whole year so far, okay? Up here at the top, I have my different statement layouts I can choose from. Most people go with this template windowed envelope. That seems to be the most popular option. But feel free to change it. Pick one of our other templates if you like those better. And then if you want to do any customizing at all, you can go into the Statement Designer. And then from here, we have a big old webinar on the Statement Designer. You can watch that. But you can really customize your statement. So you can add your logo. You could add color. You change the font size. All that stuff is done here in the Statement Designer. Now, global memo, this is a really nice way to put in a little blurb at the bottom of every single statement. So if you want to create something in here, you can and just say like, thank you for your donations. Any questions, please contact Rachel. And then you could put in your phone number, okay, whatever it might be. And then you add that and say, okay, and then here in your global memo, this will always print at the bottom of the statement. And you can have a whole bunch of different ones here if you want, okay? Couple other options here. If you want to know if a statement is more than one page, you can check that box. If you're not a pledging church, you can check to not show any pledging information. And then some people don't like to have the tax deductibility sections separated. You can check to not have that if you wish. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hit print just so you guys can see what the statement is going to look like. So here are Mr. and Mrs. Evan Bernard. Their total given up here at the top is going to be listed. If they had any non-tax deductible giving, it would be there. Statement is essentially broken up into 3 sections. Your top section, this is your detail section. So every single donation that they have given within the date range, which again is right here, is going to be listed out in this top section. So it's going to give you date, account name, amount, and check number if you put one in. Next section down here, this is your account summary, okay? And here's the date range. It's going to reiterate how it's calculating their pledge, okay? So because we're running this statement for 12 months, it's calculating out their amount per frequency, which is $300 a month, and then it's going to give you the grand total amount. How much they've given so far towards their pledge, which they've actually exceeded their pledge for the year, and then their over-under is going to be here as well, okay? If someone was behind on their pledge, it would be in parentheses. If someone has met their pledge perfectly, it would be a 0. And then this third section down here, this is going to be your quarterly, monthly total section as well. If you don't like any of these 3 sections, you can completely remove them. That's back in the statement designer, or you can come in here and you can get rid of certain columns that you don't want, okay? Really customizable for you. All right, so keep in mind it calculated the pledge out for this amount here for the whole year. Now if we go back, and we go back in here, so it says for the date range, that gives us the whole year and it pulls only those who gave. I'm going to hit my little pencil and we can change it 6:30, okay? We're still going to leave it on only those who gave, and then pledging include, we're going to leave that on all, but again, you can come in here and customize this if you want. We'll say add. Now we're only running it for our 6 months, so I'm going to hit next. And then let's hit print again. Put my little global memo back in there. Hit print. And now you can see the pledge has been calculated based on just the 6 months. So the amount is greatly reduced here for their pledge, okay? And keep in mind, if this person was an annual pledger, this pledge amount would be at 0 because it needs the whole year to calculate the pledge. All right, let's keep scrolling down here. Here's another one. This person wasn't a pledger. Let's try to find another pledge. All right, here's someone. They pledged $100 flat. So again, flat, regardless of the date range you use, it's always going to give that full pledged amount. It looks like they've given $300 towards their pledge. So their over-under is at a positive 200. And then here's a little global memo that I put in down at the bottom. So pretty straightforward, very similar to how you run your end of year statements. It's just going to depend on that date range that you use, whether you want to truly run it for just the 6 months or whether you want to run it for the entire year. So it calculates out the pledge for the whole year, or if you want to see it calculated for the 6. There isn't one way that's better than the other. It's just how you prefer or people prefer to see the information. Okay. All right, that is everything I wanted to go over with you guys today.